My name is Mark Hansen. I'm the city engineer for Coon Rapids. We also have Jason Hibscher. He's the project inspector for City Project 19-3, and Zach Pfeiffer. He's the project inspector for 19-1. And another person here who wasn't able to be here tonight that you may interact with if you have questions about our projects over the course of the summer is Sarah Green. So we're here tonight to talk about street reconstruction, and this is something that the city has been doing since 1994. Over the course of that time, we have reconstructed over 130 miles of our local street system. In 2019, we're proposing to reconstruct just shy of 10 miles. Each year, the city staff, we review the street conditions and we update our 5-year street reconstruction program. City utilities beneath or adjacent to the street, such as water main, fire hydrants, sanitary sewers, catch basins, and other infrastructure, we also repair those at the same time that we're working on the street. What our process is for evaluating which streets are to be reconstructed, we look at the cracks and roads. They start by this upper left picture. Roads start to crack with longitudinal cracks, and then they progress to what we call block cracking. That happens a lot because we have manholes, a lot of valves and manholes on our city streets, so you get what's called block cracking, typically a fair street. And then you get down here, I realize it's hard to see, a lot of cracks focused together is alligator cracking, and then we have crack erosion, and that's when we call a street poor. So streets that have these two things on here and some of this are going to be slotted for street reconstruction. There's other things that we do look at too, how well the seal coat is adhering the rideability of the street. But that's our process for evaluating pavement conditions. Project background for the streets that are proposed to be redone this year. We did a condition rating in 2018 and found that all of these streets are in either deficient or poor condition. They range in age from 20 to 46 years old, and we look at where we talk to our streets crews and we find out where are they spending the most time each year patching potholes, and that's where we go. So this year there's a handout on the table that also provides this information, but if you want to go online and tell us about concerns that you have, if you have an irrigation system, if you have some landscaping that you're concerned about, any other special concerns, you can go online, you can let us know. You can also sign up for weekly updates over the course of construction. So the first project that we are going to be doing is Project 19-1. Includes streets around 131st Avenue, generally bounded between Crooked Lake Boulevard and Coon Creek Boulevard. And then there's a group of streets south of Main Street, my pointer's not working super well here, and west of Shenandoah Boulevard that will be redone as part of this project. And then 127th Avenue east of Hanson Boulevard, north of Main Street, and then Crane Street will all be included. So the total mileage for this project is about 4 miles. We're going to resurface the roads, replace any damaged curb, driveway panels. We will replace or repair any storm sewers and catch basins, any areas on your street that have drainage problems. We'll do the best we can to address those. There will be selective valve and hydrant replacements throughout. And then we're also planning to put new sidewalks in on the north side of 131st Avenue between Crooked Lake Boulevard and Coon Creek Boulevard, as well as on the north side of 127th Avenue from Hanson Boulevard to Prairie Oaks Park. A separate project is Project 19-2. That includes Wedgwood Drive from Main Street to Round Lake Boulevard, Olive Street from Main Street to 121st Avenue, and then Foley Boulevard from 124th Lane to 115th Avenue. And what that project will include is, again, we will resurface the road, replace any damaged curb, driveway panels, repair storm sewers and sanitary manholes, selective valve and hydrant replacement. However, the water main on Olive Street is going to be replaced. We also plan to convert the sidewalk that exists on the east side of Foley Boulevard into an 8 to 10 foot wide trail. And that will involve us most likely shifting the curb on that side of the street a little bit in order to accommodate that trail. We've heard concerns about speeding on Foley Boulevard, so we plan to put in some traffic calming measures that we refer to as curb bump outs. And we're looking at putting those in at 123rd Avenue and at the Goldenrod Trail crossing, if you're familiar with where that is. And then there's also going to be an enhanced, what I'll call an enhanced pedestrian crossing at Goldenrod Street. I'll show you what that's going to look like, but that will address some of the concerns that people have about crossing Foley at Goldenrod Street. And then lastly, we are going to be replacing the culverts for Sand Creek under Foley Boulevard. They're in pretty bad shape, so we need to replace those as well. This is what the rectangular rapid flashing beacon looks like. It's a device that a pedestrian can walk up to, push a button, and yellow lights will flash. And it'll get drivers' attention much better for pedestrians that are crossing at that trail location. And at the last open house that we did have a number of people that asked about what a curb bump out looks like. This is an example of one. It's not going to be exactly what we're going to do, but this is an example, and we're going to be looking at these at 123rd Avenue and Goldenrod Street, the Goldenrod Street crossing, trail crossing. So the idea is to narrow the crosswalk distance that pedestrians have to traverse across Foley, and then also help to calm traffic. The last project that we're here to talk about tonight is Project 19-3, and that includes projects that are streets that are generally bounded by Foley Boulevard, University Avenue, Dogwood Street, the Bridgewater neighborhood, this area on the east side of the city, Mississippi Boulevard from Hanson Boulevard to Ibis Street, a short stretch of Flora Street near the Ice Center, a segment of Holly Street on the south end of the city, as well as Springbrook Drive, and then a segment of East River Road. It's a service road on the very, very south limits of the city. So again, we'll be resurfacing the road, replacing damaged curb, driveway panels, repairing storm sewer and sanitary manholes, selective valve and hydrant replacements, replacement of the entire water main on Mississippi Boulevard, as well as a portion of the Bridgewater neighborhood. There will be new sidewalks on the west side of Springbrook Drive over by the YMCA. There's a gap in the sidewalk system over there. And then there's a small gap along East River Road right over here that we will fill in with a new sidewalk as well. The project schedule is tonight. We are here conducting the second open house meeting on February 19th. Everybody should have received a mailing within the last couple of days notifying you of the public hearing. The public hearing will take place at a regular city council meeting, and that we would anticipate the council would hold the public hearing, order the project, and then approve the plans and specifications. And then we would subsequently go out for bids. We would get a contractor, and we would award the contract, adopt the assessments on May 7th. After that, we'll send out a mailing to everybody, letting them know what the project schedule is, contact information, more frequently asked questions, and we'll have another open house or a meeting in a park with the contractor there at the same time. So we'll be able to really answer a lot of questions about the schedule and address any questions about or any concerns that people have at that point. Projects and construction in general will go from May to October, but particular streets will be more on a eight-week time frame from start to finish. Unless there's some water main involved, they'll take a little bit longer, but again, we'll provide exact schedules to you before any work begins. Of course, throughout the summer, if you have concerns about or questions about the schedule, you can sign up for weekly updates on our website. There's also a handout at the table that shows you how to do that. So every Friday we come out with a weekly update telling you in general what we're going to do the next week. So how's the project funded? A myriad of city funds, street reconstruction funds, enterprise funds for the sewer and water elements. The city does receive some money from state aid from the gas tax, but that can only be used on our collector or higher volume streets. It cannot be used for our local street system. So Foley Boulevard, Wedgwood Drive, Olive Street are considered collector roads. They would be partially funded with state aid dollars, and then assessments. So the 2019 assessment rates, the single family resident is $2,070. Townhomes, apartment properties are assessed by the front footage based at $26 a foot. Commercial properties are $52 a foot, and industrial properties are $67 a foot. So why does the city assess? So the general property taxes that you have always been paying pay for approximately 50% of the street surfacing costs. So over the time that we have been reconstructing roads, your tax dollars have been going to pay for other people's roads to be redone. But part of the equation in order to make these projects happen and for us to be able to bond for the dollars we need to be able to do this work, we do have to assess. So the assessments make up about 50% of the surface cost, the asphalt, the curb and gutter that it takes to do these projects. And when we do assessments, it allows the city to raise money without increasing general property taxes over everybody. Another benefit to doing special assessments is that it applies to properties that don't pay taxes but do impact the road, such as churches, schools, all pay for that. The city itself, we get assessed if there's any work that we do in front of a city property. And then there are no assessments for the sewer, water, drainage repairs. Those are funded off of your utility bills. So assessment payment options. There's one option, well, there's a few different options, and it seems like there's always a little bit of confusion about when the assessments are due or not due. And what it is that if you want to pay the entire assessment without interest, because we do have to pay some interest on the bonds that we issue for these projects, you have an opportunity to pay without interest 30 days after the date that we adopt the assessment. So on between May 8th and June 8th, you can pay with no interest. After that, it starts accruing interest at approximately 3.5%. And in mid-November, it gets certified to the county taxes, so you can pay it off with your tax statement each year. So the average or a typical single-family residential assessment would be $250 a year in addition on your property taxes if you chose to pay it off that way. You can pay the balance off anytime. You just have to let us know or ask us what that interest is. So the third option that many people choose to do is just do nothing and just let it roll over onto your taxes. But between June 8th and November, you can pay the balance plus the interest. That's another way. So if you have questions about how to pay the assessment, you can always call the city's assessing department. That information was all in the public hearing notice for the February 19th meeting. So what to expect during construction? The first thing that we would do is tree clearing if we have utility replacements, if we're going to have to replace a hydrant or a valve and there's a tree nearby, or a mainline water main. We have to take out the trees that are in the boulevard. So we will mark those trees ahead of time. If it's got a big X on it, that's going to signify that it's going to come out. The next thing is we reclaim the asphalt, so we turn it into basically a gravel road. So you'll see a big reclaim machine like this, probably bigger than this, actually go down your street and grind up the asphalt. The next step is we smooth out that reclaim so that it's that reclaim material so that it's smooth, it's drivable. It's essentially a hard surface, but it's the recycled asphalt of your existing street. The next step, if there is water main replacements, we set up the temporary water main system. We also, regardless of which street you are on, we're going to be doing periodic valve and hydrant replacements. And we will occasionally have to shut off the water in order to be able to do that. You'll get a notice. If it's a residential property, it'll be a 24-hour notice. If you're a business, it'll be 48 hours. We will be doing storm sewer catch basin replacements where we have drainage structures that are in need of repair. And then the next step is new curb installation. So this is the time, probably the only time really where you would be asked to park on the street. So in order to allow the curb to cure in front of your driveway, we prefer that you park in your driveway throughout the project. And that's really necessary in order for us to accommodate, be able to do the work. But the part where you do need to park on the street is when the curb is curing in front of your driveway. Again, notices will be handed out to inform you of the timeline for that. So there's a time period where the curb will have to cure and you'll have to park on the street. Again, watch for notifications. And then comes the first lift of asphalt on your street. Again, we'll provide a notice for that too. Then we are going to restore the boulevards, and we're going to do that with topsoil and sod. So here's a picture of what the sod installation looks like. A thing to note about the sod is that the contractor will maintain and water it for 45 days. After that, if there's any replacements that need to happen, the contractor will do that, but after that, property owners are on their own for watering and maintaining it. And then the last step is the final lift of the asphalt. This is what the notification forms look like. So anytime we're going to have to turn off the water, you'll get one of these pink tags on the left side of the screen. Other notifications will look like this one on the right side. And then that will be customized depending on the operation and the time frame. But the contractor will provide that. They're usually posted on the door, the front door. So if you go in and out of your home through a garage, you want to watch the front door throughout the process just to make sure that you're seeing the notifications. So frequently asked questions. A lot of people will want to know what's the schedule, and we will get schedules out in May. We'll also have an open house park meeting. Our meeting in a park will have copies of schedules and all of that information. The contractor will be there as well. Notifications, how are notifications handled during construction? We notify 24 hours in advance for water shutoff for residential property, 48 hours for commercial. Other notifications for curb impacts or concrete work in front of your property will take place. Paving will all come through notifications as well, and those will be through flyers or handouts that will be put in your front door. Can you park on the street during the work? We want you to park in your driveway, and the only time that you would park on the street is when the curb is curing. Will there be any impacts to your irrigation system or dog fence? Potentially. If you want to get white flags from the city to mark your irrigation system, that will be helpful to the contractor. Let them know that it's there. And if we damage it, which tends to happen because a lot of the times these lines run directly behind the curb, we'll get it fixed. And same with the dog fence if you happen to have one of those. Just let us know about the dog fence or either one. You can also fill out the online survey and let us know about the irrigation system. We'll make a note on the plans so the contractor is aware of it. But we'll get it restored, we'll get it repaired. Can I have my entire driveway replaced? We only do work in the public right-of-way under this contract, so if you want work beyond what the city is going to do, that will just be between you and the contractor. Some of the general contractors we work with will provide a bid or a quote to do the entire driveway. It just depends. If you want some suggestions of contractors, I can provide you a list of asphalt paving contractors that have provided or pulled permits in the city, and there's at least 24 of them that you can call. We will credit, if you do elect to replace your entire driveway, we will credit for the portion that we are responsible to replace anyway as part of the project. Will there be any impacts to my mailbox? If we are replacing lengths of curb in front of your property, we will have to take out your mailbox, and we'll provide a temporary row of mailboxes. We need at least 3 feet behind the curb for a machine to be able to come in and pour new curb. So we'll provide you notifications, let you know where the temporary mailbox is, but that's going to depend on where the curb replacements are, and certainly if you have water mains being replaced on your street too, that will involve temporary mail. Will there be, what will happen to my landscape pavers, decorative rocks, plants behind the curb? We're going to try to work around those to the extent that we can. We can't furnish new materials for if you have a particular kind of rock. There's just too many nuances that for us to be able to accommodate everything. But the contractor will gently kind of peel things back and then put the new curb in where they need to, and then if it can be folded back in place, the contractor will do what they can. But more extensive repairs to that stuff are the homeowner's responsibility, because from our perspective, those are encroachments in the public right-of-way. We'll do the best we can to work around it and not impact it. Our goal is to not impact any of it. Will my water be shut off? It depends on where you are within the project. If you're having the water main pipe holistically replaced, we'll set up a temporary system. Any shutoffs will be very short term. If we're doing valves and hydrants in your neighborhood, which a lot of people are going to fall into that category, there will be periodic daytime shutoffs between 9 and 4 o'clock. We'll notify you. That would be the only time. There will never be a water shutoff on a weekend. It would be only on business days between 9 and 4 o'clock. What if I have any problems with my sewer line service? Occasionally, this is a question that we get throughout the process. Most of the time, we're not doing anything around sewer services to affect them, but occasionally somebody has a problem, and we just want you to give us a call if you do feel or detect a problem in your sewer service line so that we can help you diagnose what the problem is. Most often, it's a root issue, but we can help you with that. It's not a construction impact, but call us if you have any problems. And then how does the garbage collection take place during construction? It takes place the same as it does today. We require the contractors to not perform certain operations when garbage collection day occurs. But for the most part, it will operate just as it does today. No impacts to garbage collection. We have videos online that you can take a look at that walk you through the entire process. And if there's any questions or comments, I can take any questions. I have some questions that I printed out from the last meeting. I was thinking I would just read through them with some answers in the event that people have similar questions. So one of the things I talked about in the presentation was that we're going to have to replace the culverts on Foley Boulevard for Sand Creek. That's going to require us to shut down Foley Boulevard, and we expect that shutdown is going to be about 3 weeks approximately at this point. Some people last time asked about how do we decide on whether we put in an asphalt trail or a sidewalk. We do asphalt trails when we want bikes to be able to use it. Trails or paved trail surfaces are considered multi-use for bicycles and pedestrians. Sidewalks or concrete sidewalks are really focused on just pedestrians. Some people had some questions about Bridgewater neighborhood and why we were replacing water main in certain parts. We're focusing on the areas of Bridgewater where we've had all of the issues with our water main, and it seems to be line up with kind of the soil conditions, the underlying soil conditions of that whole area of the city. Some people last time had questions about curb bump outs and what those look like, and we do have some examples in our presentation here. Some people had questions about the material or the asphalt pavement materials being used on Foley. And Foley will be designed as a 10-ton road. It will be designed to accommodate the same levels of traffic that essentially University Avenue would. The spring weight restrictions are 9 tons per axle on Foley, but Foley will be designed and constructed to last many, many years. There were some concerns about traffic in the Bridgewater neighborhood. We have been working with the school district to see if there is any options to reroute some of the bus traffic that has started to go through that neighborhood as some of the work took place on University Avenue. And then some people last time had questions about why assessments are due before the project begins. And that's not really correct. They're not due at any point. You don't have to pay them off because you can always roll them onto your property taxes. So we don't send out a separate mailing in May when the council adopts the assessments because there's a myriad of ways that people can choose to pay them off. There will be other mailings that will come out in May that will remind you about the project and will provide a lot of contact information and frequently asked questions. So, but May 7th is the date if you choose to pay off the assessment without any interest. It's completely your choice. That you'd have a 30-day window there to pay it off. Otherwise, you can pay it off with your taxes. We'll be here to answer any questions that you have. So thank you for braving the cold here tonight and coming. Thank you for your questions and your concerns.